Hello everyone, welcome to day 3 of the Body Love Summit. I am Emma and I am the Body Love Coach. And today we're going to delve into a really interesting topic, which is the chakras, but we're actually going to look at them from quite a different perspective. So I'd love to introduce our guest for today. Her name is Gunton and she's an inspirational author, speaker and teacher. And if you're reading what I'm reading, you'd see that she's a badass rule breaker who never uses capitals because the bio is not written with any capitals. She is on a mission to help women to be their highest, brightest selves and started the Lighthouse Revolution as a powerful path to self-leadership. Karen is also a light igniter and mindset builder for women in business, helping them to find their purpose, get unstuck and shine their light in the world. Wow. Thank you so much for being here, Karen.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really great to be invited to come and to share the Lighthouse with everyone for such an amazing, important theme for your summit. So thank you.
Thanks, Karen. So before we get into the Lighthouse, which I can't wait because I'm a fan of the Lighthouse, so it's going to be interesting to see how you frame that for our topic. But where are you in the world and what do you do every day? Tell us a bit about you.
Awesome. Well, I have a background in teaching and I live in Australia, but you can tell from my accent that I'm from Canada. So once we moved here to Australia about 12 years ago, I didn't want to go back to teaching at high school. And so I eventually started different online businesses. And what I really focus on now is helping women to shine their light in the world. And sometimes that's through our business, sometimes that's through other work that we do in the world, sometimes it's through just finding ourselves again and finding that light that we have to shine. So I would still call myself a teacher, and I also focus quite a lot in the space of mindset and purpose and mission and just owning who you are in the world and finding out how you are here to show up and shine.
Beautiful, beautiful. So one of the big aspects I think about body love is kind of women needing to sort of abandon society's expectations on their bodies and the way they should look and what they should be doing to look after them, which can be really difficult for a lot of people. Can you tell me about a time when you've let go of society's expectations so that you could do what you were meant to do in the world?
Absolutely. Well, I think that, you touched on it in a way when you did that introduction about me, how I call myself a badass rule breaker who doesn't use capitals. But I find that I need to sort of lead with that now because it's almost become one of the ways that I show up in the world as myself authentically, as well as, sometimes it's one of the things that turns people off of me. So I like to put it out there right away first. And what happened was that, as I mentioned, I was a teacher at science. I used to teach science, so totally different from what I'm doing now. And when I had my babies and I was a stay-at-home mom, probably the first thing I did that sort of broke convention was that I didn't want to go back to work, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So starting up my own business was really kind of unconventional in the world that I was in. And I have started out with a photography business, which was great. But in my efforts to learn about, how I could do more of that work and how I could build my business, I started a blog and it was called Build a Little Biz. And I was just sharing basically what I was learning about business with other women. I thought there must be other women out there sort of sitting at their kitchen table trying to figure it out. And early on when I started that blog, and it was really just something I thought it was going to be meant for me, kind of a place to share. But I found that I couldn't write. I found that I couldn't share. I had all these ideas in my head. I had all these things I wanted to share with others and I couldn't do it. And I realized that I was writing like I was trying to impress other people. I was writing like I thought I should. And I was trying to be in the online world what I thought I needed to be, what I thought I should. And so the thing that I did was I gave myself permission to just be me and to write like I talk and to swear if I want to and to not use capital letters, which now looking back on it, it seems like a crazy thing. But at the time, it was just that one little decision, that one permission that I gave myself. And it opened the door for me and it took all the pressure off. And I was allowed to show up in that blog and just be myself and write like me. And what happened was that some people saw it and were like, well, she just gave me permission to be me. That's really cool. I can do that too. What's my version of that? And other people are like, oh my God, I can't stand that woman. And so kind of that one little decision, which in the end kind of exploded into being something much bigger now that I've written books and I've done these other things, had these amazing consequences in allowing myself to just be me, but also really in doing so, being able to connect more with like-minded people and the people that I most want to help in the world. So that's probably a big one that I did. And I know it's not so much, you know, about loving yourself sort of in a body image sense, but for me it was in that authentic sense. And that one decision snowballed. And so each time I make decisions like that, I know I can do it. I know that it's going to be okay to sort of break the rules and do things my way and be me, because I've done it once and it's okay. Actually, there's nothing bad happened when I stopped using capitals.
I love that story, because I think, you know, as you said, it's not necessarily about the body, but I think women often use their bodies as a way of looking like everything's okay. Whereas if you let go of that and just go, my body's fine the way it is, imagine how much creativity is out there and how much more could happen in your life if you let go of some of that stuff.
Yeah, and those small things.
Yeah, like a capital.
Even the littlest things that make you feel more like you, or where you sort of go, that's it, I'm done with that. That's not me anymore. This is who I am. Even, you know, those small ones, the ones maybe you even feel the most safe to sort of say, that's it, this is who I am. They build into bigger things. You know, you can build your confidence and build your capacity to really give yourself permission to be you by starting where you feel safest and then expanding out from there. So even the little things make a massive difference. They add up.
They do. And so what I love about what you've created is, again, I guess, breaking the rules a little bit. You've used the chakra system to create a framework that women can use to help them through goals and intentions and things like that. So can you explain a little bit about how you came to the lighthouse, and then also maybe walk us through perhaps how you could use it in that body love kind of sense?
Absolutely. So the story begins in a time where I was feeling really lost myself and kind of scrambling and trying to figure out what I was doing in the world. And I came across this quote on Pinterest that says, lighthouses don't go running all over the island looking for boats to save. They just stand there shining. And that quote is by Anne Lamont. And when I saw it, it was one of those moments that you kind of know are happening in real time. Like I got goosebumps and shivers. And I just had this like really kind of surreal aha moment where I went, my whole body changed. And I went, that's what I want. That's how I want to feel. I want to feel like that lighthouse just standing there shining. And so began a bit of a quest actually to answer that question, like, what do you do to feel ignited inside? And how does one shine their light? Like I knew that's how I wanted to feel, but my brain kind of asked the question, how do you do it? And I figured if we want to shine our light in the world, which is what I actually really believe that we're born to do, we should build a lighthouse. It makes sense. We can build ourselves. We can be something that will allow us to shine. So over the years, that quote went from something that inspired me to becoming sort of the way I was trying to live my life, and also my how do I do this? How do I figure out what it means to feel ignited and to stand tall and to, you know, to shine and to be authentic and all of those things that I kind of associated with that imagery of the lighthouse. And then, so I've been sort of talking about the lighthouse for a long time. I've called it the Lighthouse Revolution as a call to action for people to say, yeah, that's how I want to feel too. How do I do it? And a couple of years ago, I was getting more into meditation, and I was learning about Reiki and just mostly playing in that space of connection. And I started to learn a bit about the chakra system. And when I did, I had another one of those moments where I was like, this chakra system overlaps what I've already figured out about the lighthouse. well, in fact, even in the order that I've been talking about the lighthouse. So it was almost like with the lighthouse, each time I kind of explored one aspect of it, a new one would unfold. And then I'd have another thing to explore. And as I was ready to learn more things appeared. And that's the way the chakra system showed up as well. And what I like about that overlap of taking this sort of framework of the lighthouse that we can be and that we can build for ourselves, when we overlap it with the chakra system, it actually is a way to not just talk about this, this kind of metaphor that's inspiring, but rather embody it. Mm-hmm. And actually be that in your own body. And for me, the chakra system brings it into myself and allows me to check in with myself and ask the question, how can I be the lighthouse? Mm-hmm. And the framework that, that I'd love to teach to you today is really a way to do that exact thing, to check in with you and your own, intentions and your own goals for body love and for self-love. And any goal really that you have. But I think that your theme here is just so beautiful. It's a perfect fit for the lighthouse. So you can take that goal, that intention that you hold for yourself, and you can actually embody exactly what you need to do in order to make that happen.
Wonderful, wonderful. So talk us through it. Like, shall I give you a goal, or do you want to just talk generally body love?
If you want to share a goal, that would be perfect. We can use it as an example as we talk.
Well, I think if I was talking to old Emma, it would have been, how do I decide that I love my body as it is, as opposed to pressuring myself to go to the gym and eat nothing and do all that stuff? Like, how do I move away from that old Emma and move into someone who's more accepting of myself?
Self-acceptance. I love that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the lighthouse, including the chakra system. There's 7 components of the lighthouse, just like 7 chakras, and I'm going to walk you through those 7 components and how they can help you sort of take that goal and explore it really. And for me, that's what the framework is. It's a way to explore, and a way, as I said, to embody and to just check in with yourself and see. If you think about that lighthouse standing tall and strong, you can almost feel it in your spine when you picture yourself as the lighthouse, with this strong foundation rising up and shining your light in the world. And that's what we want to do by going through the 7 components. So let's walk through it. So the first one that I always start with is, actually, let's start this way. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way upwards. So when I think about the lighthouse, standing in the harbor, standing tall on a strong foundation, the harbor is the home of the lighthouse. And it's a reminder that we can just be where our feet are. We can be here in this moment. And we can come back as well. Even if we get off track, even if we get sidetracked or we get lost, we can come back to our light. We can come back to our home. And this component of the lighthouse is related to the base chakra. So you'll find that at the very bottom of your spine and also between your feet. So even your act right now of, planting those 2 feet firmly on the ground, you've activated your base chakra, and you can just picture the earth supporting you, to stand tall. So the way to check in with this is to ask the question, if that's your goal, to accept yourself as you are right now without having to change who you are, but rather accept who you are. You can ask yourself, can I actually be present with that? Can I allow this feeling inside of me of acceptance to unfold? Do I feel safe? Do I feel supported in that? Do I feel like I belong here? Or is this really a scary place to be? So if you think of those words, safe, supported, grounded, a sense of belonging or a sense of balance, right away you can notice, oh, actually that feels unsafe because, or what if this person says that? And oh my gosh, my friends are gonna think, and right away when your brain goes to that place, you know exactly what you need to change in order to make that goal happen. So the way I like to do it is I like to check in and say, what feels strong or aligned, or, you know, like, yeah, I got this, and anchor into those things and build those in. So if you think of that feeling, let's say, of being supported, and right away you're like, I got 3 friends who I know will get this goal and will support me. You anchor into that, and you really make time for those people because you know that's what you need. Conversely, if you know that there's people in your life that won't get it, well, what would you have to do in order to feel more safe, or to feel more supported, or to feel more sort of grounded in this? So that's what I mean about checking in. So you check in by asking, can I be here? Can I allow this to happen? Can I let this, you know, unfold? Do I feel safe, supported, grounded, belonging? And you can also check in with your body too. So that idea of embodiment. So check in with how this feels in your body. Does it feel light? Does it feel like a weight lifted off your shoulder? Does it feel heavy, like maybe there's some more work, some more to explore? And I like to check in with my breath too when it comes to this feeling of safety. So that is an example, just starting with the first component of the lighthouse, how you can check in. And then, of course, you know, anything that supports you in your base chakra is going to support you to feel all those things. So anything that you do to feel grounded, anything that you do to have that sense of belonging or balance, those will all support you from that space. So we'll keep going, but that gives you an idea of the kinds of questions we'll ask. So next up is the what I call the spiral staircase of the lighthouse. So rising up from that kind of grounded place, there's this spiral staircase that goes up through the lighthouse. And this is related to our sacral chakra, which is just below your belly button. So this is where your feelings are. You know, this is how we're checking in with, how do we feel? Do we feel excited? Do we feel adventurous? Do we feel curious, creative, playful, fun? These are all sort of high vibe feelings that will help us with our goal. So if we can approach this, you know, goal of how, you know, with a sense of curiosity, like, I wonder, you know, what total acceptance would look like. I wonder if I could have some fun exploring this. I wonder if, you know, this could be a bit of an adventure for this year, like a bit of a challenge or a quest, and we can make it fun and playful and interesting and exciting. Alternatively, you might be checking in and going, this feels really scary. I don't think I can do this. Bad things are probably going to happen. What if people don't like me? You know, what if I do a whole year of body love, acceptance, and at the end I don't feel any different and I'm a massive failure? You know, all of those kinds of feelings are really good to notice as well, because then you can ask yourself, tap into curiosity again and say, how can I, you know, not let that be such a big fear? How can I feel more safe? How can I feel more grounded? And you can, you know, you can go back a step and get in that place. So anything with your feelings is really related to that sacral chakra and that idea of the staircase. And the staircase reminds me that it's a journey. You know, that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know what every step of your goal will look like. You just have to be willing to take one little step. Because just like the spiral staircase, you know, just one little step, you know, and more steps will appear. And it's not a big, hard journey. You just take one little step at a time. So this is about checking into that emotion and that willingness really to take the journey. So anything you can do to sort of, you know, raise your vibe and raise your emotions to a positive, you know, place that supports you is really what the spiral staircase. I always say, if you think of it, the staircase, you can either take the upward spiral or the downward. Yeah. It's your choice.
Yeah, that's right.
You can stay in the downward if you want to, but you probably won't get very far with the goals that you have.
Yeah.
So that's the sacral chakra. Next up is the solar plexus chakra, which is above your belly button. It's like right where your gut is. And for the lighthouse, this is related to the foundation. So when we think about a foundation sort of something to, you know, rise up from, it's strong, it offers support to the whole structure. You feel quite stable and like, yeah, I got this. You know, you can almost feel that strength kind of going up through your spine. I always think of it as a bit of that kind of warrior energy, like, yes, I'm willing to back myself and fight for what I want. So that's where we're really checking in to say, you know, are we backing ourselves here? Can we stand up and fight for this because it matters? Can we do this? Can we take action? You know, and what would that look like? Like, what would an action be that I could take right now with that goal of acceptance? Maybe it's getting rid of, you know, the stuff in your closet that makes you feel bad, and just accepting your body in the way it is, and dressing because you love and accept your body. Or maybe it's throwing out a bunch of, you know, diet books, or maybe it's, you know, it's like that, taking action. What can I do to say, yes, this is what I want and I'm going for it? So a lot of this is about your mindset too, you know, your confidence and your resilience and your courage, and those things that will help you to act and step forward and actually do what it is you say you want to do. So that's the way you check in there, and you can, you know, check in, do I feel that way? And of course, if you don't, then it shows you some things you can work on. You know, what would help you feel more confident, or what would help you take more action, or actually fight for yourself. You know, give yourself that purpose, and give yourself that reason that this matters, and stand by it, you know, and let that be, again, something that you hang on to. So that's a bit about the foundation. Next up is the heart chakra, which of course is in our heart space. And this is related to the tower of the lighthouse. So this sort of tall, you can feel it in your torso. It just makes you, again, want to stand tall, this tower. And the tower really is, you know, the vehicle that lets you shine. And this is perfect for body love too, because your body is your vehicle. It's just a vehicle. It's just here to help you do the things that you want to do in the world, and to shine your light in your way. And so, you know, you do need to be in love with your vehicle, in love with your body, in love with the thing that helps you to do your work in the world. And so that's what you want to check in with. You know, do you love yourself enough to do this? And, you know, can you actually do this in service of something greater? That if your body is just the vehicle and the light is the real thing inside of you that you're here to share with the world, then what would serve that? You know, what serves you showing up and shining your light? And your surroundings too. Like, if you're surrounded by a bunch of stuff that doesn't serve you well, and that you don't love, and that doesn't honor, you know, your goal and your intention and what you're here to do, time to declutter that stuff. You know, just like your tower is a building, you can declutter it just like you would a room in your house, you know, and start getting rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you, or say no to the stuff that doesn't serve you well, or say yes to the things that serve you well. And do it your way. You know, when you think of that tower, it's this sense of alignment, right? It's not all wobbly, but rather all the pieces fit and it's aligned. And so, you know, the things on your to-do list that don't align with you, well, do it your way. You know, like we talked about, this is about saying, no, I'm not going to do it that way anymore. I'm going to break the rules, or I'm going to write my own rules, or write my own definitions and do it my way. So that's all around your heart chakra, which is about love and that permission and alignment, and saying that you love yourself enough to do this, to build yourself a tower, and to fall in love with what you've built so that it serves you well. Next up is the throat chakra, which is related in our lighthouse to the beacon. So we think about a lighthouse, it's got this light that shines out to the boats at sea. And of course, you know, a lighthouse doesn't have a light that's all dark and quiet and hidden inside. The beacon is meant to connect with other people. And so when we think of that idea of embodying a lighthouse, you're meant to share your light. You are meant to speak up and be seen. And so a great thing to do when it comes with a goal like acceptance of yourself, is ask yourself, can I actually speak up about this? Can I talk about it out loud? Can I share it with others? Can I be visible about it and vocal about it? Because if you are feeling like you need to hide it inside of you, then that's not really serving you well either. We own who we are by speaking up about it, by sharing it, by beaming it out to the world. It's like saying, hey world, this is me. So it's a great chance to check in and see, you know, what you can actually speak about. And do you feel authentic? Do you feel genuine? Do you feel vulnerable? Do you feel seen and heard? Do you feel like maybe you're expanding your comfort zone a little bit? Because those are all signs that you are being like a beacon and sharing your light with others, your intention, your goal, and speaking up because it matters to you. And of course, you want to check in with what you're saying and what you're hearing as well. So if you are saying in your head, this matters to me, but you're speaking out loud doesn't match that, or what you're hearing from others doesn't match that, then that's a place where you're not in alignment. And you can actually do something to change that. You can start being more careful with what you say and the way that you listen to others as well. So that's a bit about the beacon. And then next up is the third eye chakra, which is also sometimes called the brow chakra. And this is in our lighthouse, is related to the light that we have inside. And of course, you know, the light is a big part of what a lighthouse is. You can picture that sort of tower with a light bright inside. And that light is you. That's you being you. And the third eye chakra reminds us it's about what we see. So can you see your own light? Can you see the value that you have and the fact that you are indeed worthy of loving yourself and accepting yourself? Can you see your amazing gifts that you have to share in the world, and that they're far beyond, you know, what your body looks like? And by embracing and accepting yourself, you actually are in service of your own light, because you can actually show up in the world in bigger ways. So you want to check in how clearly you see yourself, because most of us don't see ourselves very clearly. And this is an opportunity to strengthen that. Do you feel ignited and excited about your goal? Do you feel lit up from within? You know, like it really does matter to you? Do you feel like your fuel tank is full? Because you need fuel in your tank to go after it. So what fills up your tank? What makes you feel great? What makes you feel like you're you? The light is all about being you, and it's about seeing your own light clearly. So this is your chance to check in with your awareness and your perception, your imagination and your intuition, and tuning in to that inner light that's inside of you and seeing it clearly. And the last one that we'll talk about, and the last component of the lighthouse, is the crown chakra, which is at the top of your head, and which in our lighthouse example is what I call the sky above. And it just reminds us that we have a connection to something beyond us, that there is something bigger than us at work here. And no matter how you choose to, you know, define that or identify that, is absolutely up to you, whether you think of it as spirituality or you think of just, you know, listening to your inner soul. But it is about that connection to something bigger than you, like that big sky above. And it's about trusting that and having faith in that, and checking in with your thoughts and your beliefs and what you know to be true. Because the truth is that oftentimes, you know, we have a hard time sometimes focusing on a goal that we have. If it's just for us, it feels somewhat selfish. But if we feel like we're connected to something bigger than us, that there's a purpose for us beyond, you know, what we even can see right now, and that you've got the universe at your back saying, yes, yes, we want this for you, then sometimes that gives you a greater purpose. You know, it's not all about you. It's about the bigger picture, and it's about what the world is waiting for on you. So that's really what the sky reminds me of. And we can tune into that with our crown chakra by, as I said, checking in with our thoughts and our beliefs, you know, our own spiritual practice. Do we have one? Do we make it a priority? Does it serve us well? Do we have that faith and trust? And how do we feel those things, faith and trust? Do we feel like we are exactly where we're meant to be and that the universe has our back? And if not, then what could we do to build it up? What could we do to have that be stronger so that we feel supported in other ways as well? And that's probably where I'll leave this little description of the lighthouse framework and the chakra system, is that these things do overlap in many ways, but also, you know, strength in one is strength in all. So just as a quick example, you know, we talked about speaking up, and are you willing to speak up about your goals and your intention? Let's say the example again is about body acceptance. If that's your intention, but you can't share it with anybody in your life, why? And that's where you might want to check in and say, do I feel safe? Do I feel supported? Do I feel curious? Do I feel excited? Do I feel strong and like I'm worthy and like I can fight for this? Am I in love with this goal that I set? Because if any of those are not true, then you can go and work on those, and strengthening those would then strengthen your voice and your ability to speak out. So that's where it all kind of, you know, is like this big cycle, but you can check in. And that's why I think it's a really beautiful framework, because when you embody these, you know, being able to use the chakra system to check in, that's where you can really have some amazing awareness, and as well as, you know, learn some tools to actually build yourself up in those ways.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. So if someone's using your framework, do you say like journaling around that is the best place to start?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think journaling is amazing. And I'm a big fan of journaling. It's such a great way to explore. I think some people, you know, if you already journal, then there are ways that you could sort of amplify those efforts by speaking up. You know, if you've never spoken up, then you can start speaking out loud about things. If you've never journaled, then that would be a big step. Sometimes I also think there are some physical things that you can do as well to support, you know, these areas. One of the things I like to do is to take the system and just do a little bit of exploring and just checking in and saying, you know, can I see it? Can I say it? Do I love it? Can I do it? How am I feeling? Can I be here right where I am, and do I feel safe? What do I know to be true? And just asking myself those questions, like prompts, which are great for journaling or great for discussion with, you know, other people, with, if you've got mastermind buddies or peers that you're working on together, they can be great ways to check in.
Yeah, and also as you were speaking, I can imagine feeling each of those questions in your body as well, like really checking into the chakras and how did that feel? Because as you were talking, like, me and my solar plexus are never great friends. I'm working on that all the time.
Yeah.
I felt that. And so I think part of loving your body is letting your body give you messages, and it's beautiful for that too.
Absolutely. And the more you play in that space, the more you can recognize what messages you're getting. Like I just had it happen actually as we were talking, when I have that moment where I feel like, you know, that you are connected to something bigger. I got these tingles, you know, at the top of my head. And when you feel that feeling like you can't speak and your throat hurts, or you feel like there's, you know, razor blades in there, like you can't quite swallow properly. You know, these are signs of places to explore. And the more that we sort of embody the way we feel and we notice what our body is telling us, is actually really, really neat. And one of the things I've done actually that I love to share with your audience is, and it's just a little freebie that's on my website, but I've done this quiz that takes you through each of the components of the lighthouse, but I've actually kind of personified each one. So I call them the lighthouse keepers, and they're the keepers of each of the components. And I like that idea of personification because it gives you something to kind of anchor into. Like I mentioned that I see the warrior as being like the protector of our solar plexus chakra and the foundation. And when you can tap into that energy, it's like, oh yeah, I could be that. I could tap into my inner warrior. But with that, there's like a little digital magazine, and in that I share some different ideas really to activate each chakra and to explore anything from, you know, how it feels in your body to things like essential oils that support each one, and all sorts of, you know, little signs that you might get in your world that might point to something you need to explore. So it's kind of a bit of fun, and that's really what I wanted it to be, was a way to take whatever it is you're working on and have some fun exploring it and be curious exploring it, and do it in a way that feels like you, rather than have it be kind of a chore, you know, oh, I got more work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all feel that feeling sometimes of the never-ending to-do list, and yeah, making it fun is great. And what I love about your framework is that for a lot of people watching, I think the chakra system is probably fairly new to them. So this is a really like practical way without feeling you need to go full woo-woo in your first connection to it.
Yeah. And I think that's why I began exploring it, because I did like it. I do like learning about the chakras, and I think anything that helps us to sort of be our true selves is really beautiful. But I'm a very, as much as I'm into some of the woo-woo stuff, I'm also a very grounded kind of practical person, always asking the question, okay, well, how? Like, what do we do with that? And so one of the reasons I did this is because I needed it for me. I needed to take that stuff that's kind of beyond, that we can't really see and we can't even sometimes feel or put words to, and put it into something that kind of clicked, and that's why the lighthouse works for me. Like I said, you kind of picture your body as a lighthouse. Right away you anchor into those feelings, and you anchor into which part of yourself you might want to explore, and it does become, for me, a bit more practical, but also more meaningful, because then it's about me. It's not something that's outside of me.
Yeah, and I love the idea of the lighthouse being like your body, because it's taking away that like visualness about your body and really seeing your body, as you said before, as your vehicle to be able to do all these things, as opposed to an ornament for other people to look at.
That's right, exactly. And why wouldn't we accept ourselves and honor ourselves? We were born here with a purpose to shine, and our body allows us to do that. So we should love it up. We really should, because it's really served us in so many ways. And when we do that, when we allow ourselves to actually show up in this vehicle that we've got and love it for what it is, it kind of takes the pressure off too, because we know that it's not about how we look or what we're showing up as. It's about the light that we shine in the world. That's what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said the word allowing just then. One of the big overarching principles of my body love method is the allowing versus achieving, because I think for a lot of women, we all have a lot we want to achieve. I'm not saying that achievement's wrong. We need to achieve things, but that never-ending to-do list, or that number on the scale that means something, or I've got to run 10 kilometers, otherwise I'm not very fit, or whatever. We seem to put a lot of numbers around things and make things an achievement, whereas I think the body knows how to be healthy, and we just like need to allow that to happen sometimes. So how do you feel about that? Do you embody that kind of allowing in your life in any way, or are you sort of more still an achiever as well? Like, how does it work for you?
That's a really good question. And I think, and probably lots of the people who are listening have been, in that achievement space of their life. And I know that's sort of how I grew up. I was the achiever. I was the one who had to get straight A's and had to achieve and had to meet goals. And what I love about this kind of new place I am in my life is I realize that those achievements actually don't define who I am. And that I get to actually define who I am in any way I choose. And it's been hard sometimes for me to get that balance between achieving and allowing, because, it becomes so ingrained in the way that you live your life. But I have to say that this work that I've been doing with the lighthouse has allowed me to do that more. Partly, as I said, because when I notice that I'm in, a place that's really kind of what I call efforting, you're pushing and efforting and, beating yourself up, I can just catch myself better than I used to. And I can, what I call improve your comeback rate, because the lighthouse is not about living in the light all of the time. That's impossible. It's not what it's about. With light, there's also darkness, and there's the storms, and there's the tides, and there's all sorts of things that are going to get you off track. But what matters is your comeback rate. How quickly you can come back to your light and come back into your lighthouse and say, oops, sorry, I got stuck out there in the storm for a little while, but I'm back now, and getting back into that space. And even if you have to do that, multiple times a day, at least it gives you that framework. So that's what I'm working on now, is that improving my comeback rate and catching myself when I'm in that pushing, efforting, and coming back to allowing. And instead of beating myself up, loving myself up instead. And just coming back to that more quickly than I used to.
Yeah.
I'm not a pro at it.
Yeah, no, I don't know if we ever become pros at it.
No,
Yeah, as long as we accept that about ourselves, it's okay.
yeah, yeah, and it's a work in progress. Like, I will never stop working on my lighthouse. You know, I'm building my lighthouse and practicing to be a lighthouse. And I imagine I'll be working on it until the day that I die. And because I know that I'm here to shine my light in the world, that's okay. I mean, why wouldn't I be working on my lighthouse then?
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And so where can people learn more about you and get that freebie you were talking about, the quiz and everything? That would be wonderful.
Yeah. So KarenGunton.com is my site. And if you pop on over there and just click the free button, you'll see where the quiz is. And I think the real value for anybody listening is to take a look at that little free magazine there about the lighthouse keepers, because first of all the stuff that I said, you know, it will just put that into some more perspective and words, and you can print it out and have it, and that way you don't have to be trying to remember everything. But also, as I said, it's got some really neat ideas in there for how you can embody the lighthouse and how you can activate, you know, those different kind of personas for each of the chakras, so that you can practice strengthening them and use them to help you with the goal that you set this year for yourself around body love and I hope around shining your light in the world and just embracing it and being yourself in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Karen. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It was really lovely to chat with you. And thanks for the opportunity to share the lighthouse with your audience. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.